Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, a new Free State Premier is expected to be elected today. The ANC has endorsed the party's provincial chairperson, Mxolisi Dukwana, to replace sisi Ntombela, who resigned on Tuesday. eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto has the story.
Hardly 2 months after he defeated sisi Ntombela for the position of ANC provincial chairperson, Mxolisi Dukwana is poised to take her job as premier. Ntombela says she is vacating the office on Friday, but on Thursday, the provincial legislature will elect her replacement. With the ANC's 19 MPLs to the opposition's 11, Dukwana's election is almost guaranteed. The legislature says for now, it doesn't know who the candidates for the premier positions are.
We do not know. We had a meeting in the morning, but the names were not revealed. But in principle, the procedure was outlined to honorable members that there will be nominations, forms that will have been prepared for tomorrow, allowing any member of the legislature tomorrow to nominate a candidate for the premiership, which must be seconded, followed by finally the acceptance by the nominee.
As new premier, Dukwana will have to deal with expectations of various party structures, including the ANC Youth League, which says he must appoint at least one young person as MEC. And while the Youth League is unhappy with the performance of the outgoing members of the Executive Council, for some reason, it believes Dukwana, under whose stewardship as cooperative governance MEC, municipalities remain dysfunctional, is the right man for the top job.
You must remember, Moloto, that Comrade Mxolisi came in late last year, and it would be very absurd of us wanting to measure his level of success through just a few months of his succession in that particular office. Let us give him an opportunity, appoint his own exco, and see what is it that can, and then we can be able to judge him between now and next year's elections.
As new premier, much is expected from Dukwana in a province where municipalities recently returned 800 million rand to the national treasury. The money had been earmarked for the provision of services. Moloko Moloto, Bloemfontein.
All right, let's in fact go live now to Moloko Moloto, who is in Bloemfontein for us. Moloko, around what time will we know who the new premier of the Free State is?
Hello, well, just around 2 o'clock this afternoon, there's going to be a special sitting of the provincial legislature, wherein members of the provincial legislature will be electing the new premier. We already know from the ANC's side, the national officials have already nominated Mxolisi Dukwana as the candidate for the governing party, but nothing stops the official or the opposition parties in the form of the EFF as well as the Democratic Alliance from also fielding their own candidate to contest for this top job in the province of the Free State. Of course, this is happening at the time or just 2 months after Mxolisi Dukwana managed to defeat sisi Ntombela, the outgoing premier, for that position of African National Congress as the chairperson. The writing has always been on the wall, Masero. We've heard, actually, even during that particular conference, the national chairperson of the ANC, Gwera Mandashe, saying that the incoming provincial executive committee of the ANC's duty is to assess the performance of the provincial government, which Mandashe said was non-existent. At that time, it became clear that Mandashe was red-cutting the outgoing premier, sisi Ntombela. So what we're expecting now is that in a moment from now, the African National Congress provincial leaders are going to be holding a media briefing here. We understand it's going to be taking place jointly with the outgoing premier, sisi Ntombela, and at a later stage, at about 2 o'clock, they will be going to the provincial legislature to elect the replacement for sisi Ntombela.
Now, what I find interesting as well, Moloko, is that, the current chairperson of the Free State, the ANC chairperson of the Free State, Mxolisi Dukwana, was fired from Ace Magashule's cabinet when he was still premier, came back 9 years later to be sworn in, and is now chairperson. And it looks like, it looks to me at least, as if they're getting rid of all the allies of the former premier of the Free State before, Ntombela.
Well, for sure. I mean, Mxolisi Dukwana and Ace Magashule have history. They were very close during the time of Ace Magashule in this particular province. Of course, there was a fallout. We have seen and heard Mxolisi Dukwana testifying before the Zondo Commission of Inquiry about the activities of state capture that he alleged took place in this particular province. So the writing was on the wall. He, at the time when we went public about his opposition to Ace Magashule, some people would say, was repositioning himself already to take over. And of course, this province being beset by so many infightings, the parallel structures, the divisions within the ANC structures, it was a very difficult task. I mean, if you also look at how he defeated Sisi Ntombela, I think he defeated her by just over 40 votes. The contest was that close. But of course, importantly, it was a clean sweep. Any person who contested that slate of Mxolisi Dukwana didn't make it onto the Provincial Executive Committee. And that also speaks to the issue of their unity and renewal project, to say, is unity going to be possible? Is it going to be an easy feat when those who lost, all of them, are outside, if you like, of the structures of the ANC? The influence of Ace Magashule going into that particular provincial conference, although he was not allowed as a suspended member of the ANC to participate in the structures of the ANC, but you could get a sense, speaking to some of the people who were contesting in that provincial conference, that they do talk to him, and they were consulting in a way. Of course, he would not openly come out, but we heard him just on the eve of the provincial conference remarking that this particular conference has been won already, saying that they are going to steal it. And that has been the lamentation of those who lost. They believe that it was rigged. And up to so far, we haven't seen anyone really go into court. But we know the members of the ANC in this particular province are highly litigious. They go to court at the slightest provocation or unhappiness. So don't rule out the possibility of ANC members going to court to challenge that particular conference.
And, just lastly from me, Moloko, we all know and we have seen how divided the ANC and the Free State was. They were a province that actually held their elective conference after the National Elective Conference, which was unheard of before. And they also had those parallel structures having elective conference in the Free State. Are the national party leaders blaming Sisi Ntombela for these divisions?
Well, Sisi Ntombela at the time was the deputy convener to Mxolisi Dukwana, who was the convener of the interim structure of the ANC. I don't think that she would really take responsibility for the paralysis within the African National Congress in this province. However, within government, she was in charge. She was the only one with executive authority as premier. Now, we saw prior to that particular provincial conference, I beg pardon, in Mangaung, there were two parallel conferences of the ANC that were held. The other one held at Imvelo, the one that was endorsed by the previous provincial structure that was led by Dukwana. And the other conference took place at the President Hotel, and the ANC nationally appointed a two-member team led by David Mahlobo, which presented a report to the Special National Executive Committee that was held on Monday, this past Monday, and we have seen that report. That team has recommended that the ANC must recognize the conference that was held at Imvelo, one that elected the allies of Mxolisi Dukwana. Of course, the current or the recently elected PEC of the ANC's mandate and task is going to be to heal the divisions that are highly palpable in this province. And we are going to see that happening, whether it will happen or not today, Masero, in the constitution of the Provincial Executive Council, the MECs. You would recall that of the 10 MECs who are in the Free State, only Mxolisi Dukwana made it onto the PEC as the chairperson. The rest are not structured.
Yeah.
Already those who are in the Provincial Executive Committee have expectations. So Mxolisi Dukwana as the new premier will have to strike a delicate balance there, trying to please the structures of the ANC. And the question is, if, because many of them, those who are in the PEC, are not members of the legislature, and in terms of the law, you can only be MEC if you are a member of the legislature. Are those who are currently MECs, if they are not appointed, will they relinquish their seats in the legislature to make way for those who are recently elected? We all await to see that happening. Masero?